Okay, so let's continue our discussion for Unit 1, which is about energy. So, if you could still remember, I was able to introduce the concept of the first set of concepts that we will discuss for the subject chemistry for engineers. Okay, so I was able to introduce the application of chemistry in our life as well as the definition of energy is simply defined as the ability to do work. So based on the definition, energy and work is somehow much very related to each other. In fact, they are directly proportional. So the more energy you have, the more work you can accomplish or you can finish. Then also we have I was able to derive also the unit for work. So the unit for since work and energy is directly proportional to each other. So whatever will be the unit for work, that is also the unit for energy. So that is why the unit for work is joule. Okay, so 1 joule is equal to 1 Newton meter, and it could also be 1 joule could be equal to 1 kilogram meter per second squared meter. Okay, para makuha natin yung Newton meter na unit. Then, I was able to discuss also the different forms of energy. So, we have the heat or the thermal energy. So, it has something to do with the motion of the atoms. Okay, the more that the atoms of a molecules are moving, the higher the production of heat or the thermal energy. So, in Tagalog, the more na malikot yung mga atoms sa isang molecules, the more na tumataas yung production ng heat or ng thermal energy. Then we also have the sound energy. So it has something to do with the vibrations of sound waves. Okay? Then we have the chemical energy. So chemical energy is a stored energy. Okay? Stored where? It could be in the bonds of atoms and molecules. So example ng chemical energy, yung energy that we have in the batteries, energy that we get from the biomass, petroleum, natural gas, yung mga ginagamit ng mga sasakyan. And also sa mga coal, okay, ginagamit ng mga pabrika, ginagamit natin pagluto. Okay? Then we have the nuclear energy. Why is it called nuclear energy? Because it is a stored energy in the nucleus of an atom. So, perfect example of nuclear energy is those energy uh, that was provided by the nuclear power plant. Okay, they were using the stored energy inside the nucleus of those radioactive elements. Then it was converted into different forms of energy. Then we also have the electromagnetic energy. So just like what I've told you, light is a form of electromagnetic energy. And I used the electromagnetic spectrum to describe to you or to discuss to you the different electromagnetic waves. So the electromagnetic spectrum shows the different electromagnetic waves with their corresponding wavelength and frequency. Just like what I've told you, the wavelength and the frequency is inversely proportional. So the longer the wavelength, the lower the frequency, and the shorter the wavelength, the higher the frequency. So from the visible light, okay, from the visible light going to left side, so we have here the radio wave, the microwaves, the infrared. So they are example of electromagnetic waves having longer wavelength but low amount of frequency. And from the visible light going to the right of our spectrum, we have here the electromagnetic waves which possess lower higher energy since they have shorter wavelength. Okay? Then we have also the mechanical energy. So, mechanical energy can be described due to the motion or position of an object. That is why, under the mechanical energy, we have here some examples of potential and kinetic energy. So, si potential energy, it can be converted to kinetic energy, then vice versa, kinetic energy can be converted to potential energy. Okay? So let's discuss now the types of energy. We have the potential energy, just like what I'd mentioned here in the previous slide. Okay, then potential energy has something to do with the relative position of an object. Okay, so the higher the position of an object, the greater the amount of gravitational potential energy, and the lower the position, the lower the height. Okay, the lower the position of an object, it possesses lesser amount of gravitational potential energy. Since from the term itself, the gravitational potential energy is somehow affected by the pull of gravity. Okay? So I was able to discuss already sample problem on how to use the formula for gravitational potential energy. So just to recall, this is our formula in computing gravitational potential energy. So the EP here is pertaining to the gravitational potential energy, which is in joule. Then the mass here is, the M here is the mass in kilogram. The G here is the constant value for gravitational force, which is 9.8 meter per second squared. And the H here is the height, okay, which is in meter. Okay, now take note of the units. Remember, as we are using the joule as unit for energy in general, not only in potential energy, okay? We're using joule as quantity, or rather unit for energy. So in order for you to use joule as unit for energy, your mass should be in kilogram. If not, you have to apply uh, conversion of units. Then the gravitational force should be expressed in Newton per kilogram, or it could also be in meter per second squared. Okay, the one that we are using for the constant value of gravity, and the height should be in meter. So in case class, if the mass is not in kilogram or the height is not in meter, you have to convert, or else you could not use the unit for energy, which is the joule. So kailangan, para magamit si joule, dapat yung mass kilogram, yung height ay meter, at yung G should be in meter per second squared. Okay, take note of that. Then let's move now to the elastic potential energy. So the elastic potential energy can be observed in any elastic material. So when we say elastic material, they are the materials that once you apply a certain amount of force, okay, for them to be stretched or compressed, um, they can sustain deformation. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pag sinabi nating elastic material, sila yung mga material na pag nag-apply tayo ng force, either by stretching them or compressing them, once na tinanggal natin yung force na ginamit natin sa pag-compress or sa pag-stretch, dapat babalik sila sa kanilang original form. So, dapat walang deformation. Hindi dapat sila masisira. So, yun yung sinasabi natin na elastic material. Okay, so the elastic potential energy of a elastic material has something to do with their ability to resist, okay, outside force, for them uh, to do not undergo deformation. So it means the higher the elastic potential energy of of an elastic material, the more they can, what do you call this, the more they can oppose the application of the outside force. So therefore, the lesser the chance that they will get deformed. Okay? Pag mababa naman yung elastic potential energy, meaning they can easily deformed. Okay? To the point, if they will reach the elastic limit, um, they can be break. Okay? Pwede silang masira. So pag mataas ang elastic potential energy ng isang object, hindi siya basta-basta nadideform. Okay? Pag mababa ang elastic potential energy ng isang object, mabilis siyang ma-deform. So example, goma. Okay? So kung mataas yung elastic potential energy ng goma, hindi siya mabilis mapatid. Pero kung mababa yung elastic potential energy ng goma, mabilis siyang mapatid. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi natin. If the object possesses higher amount of elastic potential energy, the more it can resist, okay, the force that will cause deformation. But if the elastic potential energy of a elastic material is somehow lesser, okay? They can be easily deformed or sometimes they can be break. Okay, pwede silang masira pag mababa ang elastic potential energy. Okay, so we have here the equation in computing elastic potential energy. Ito yun ha, ito yun class, yung tinuturo ng cursor ng aking laptop. Okay, so E sub E, this one, that is our elastic potential energy. Remember, this is again energy, that is why the unit is in joule. Then the K here is our spring constant, which is in unit of Newton per meter. So again ha, if the unit of a spring constant is not in Newton per meter, you have to convert. You have to use Newton per meter unit for spring constant. And we have the extension or the displacement. When we say extension, ito yung mangyayaring deformation doon sa elastic material. Okay? So, pwedeng halimbawa, kung hinila natin, okay, tapos hindi na siya bumalik sa kanyang original form. Gaano ka haba yung na-deform sa kanya? That is extension or that is displacement. Okay? The extension should be in meter. Again, if it is not in meter, you have to convert. Okay? Next. So I prepared here a sample problem for elastic potential energy. The problem stated, a compressed spring has the potential energy of 20 joule and its spring constant is 200 Newton per meter. Calculate the displacement of the spring. So again, in doing your assignment number 1 about energy, you should show your complete solution by following the traditional format. So you will start with the given, just like this. Okay, you will start with the given, then followed by the unknown. Okay, then followed by the formula. If needed, formula transformation. Then, if you have already the proper formula to be used, substitute the values in the formula to be used. Then, you will proceed to the operation involved and then enclose your final answer with proper unit. Okay, so even though you have a correct answer here, let's say you get 0.71, but then you were not able to write the unit, still I will mark it wrong. Okay, so let's go back to our problem. So the 20 joule here is our elastic potential energy. I use EPE as notation or symbol for elastic potential energy. Okay, so that is 20 joule. The 20 joule could also be written in 20 Newton meter, or it could also be written as 20 kilogram meter per second squared meter. Okay, so pare-pareho lang yan, ha? Then, the 200 Newton per meter, that is our spring constant, the K. Ayan. And we will be looking for the displacement or the extension. Displacement and extension are just the same. Okay? So we will be using the formula for elastic potential energy. So elastic potential energy is equal to K E raised to 2 over 2. Okay? Then, we can rewrite this formula, this expression, in this way. EPE over 1 equal to KE squared over 2 so that we can apply cross multiplication. So, EPE times 2 will give us 2 EPE. Then, KE squared times 1 will give us KE squared. Okay? Then since we are asking to look for the extension or the displacement, we will divide both side by k. So cancel na natin to. So E squared will be left on one side, and on the other side we have 2 EPE over k. Then, we will take the square root of both sides to eliminate the squared here in E. Okay? So, therefore, our formula in computing the extension or the displacement will be equal to E equal to the square root of 2 multiplied with gravitational potential energy and our spring constant. Substitute now the values. Eto, sinubstitute na natin. So, we have 2 to 20 Newton meter divided by 200 Newton per meter. So 2 times 20 will give us 40. Ito yon Newton meter. Then yung nasa ilalim, we have 200 Newton meter. So we will cancel Newton here. But remember ha, you're not going to cancel meter here. So what will happen now? You're going to multiply meter with meter. Since if you're going to look at the unit here, Newton per meter. So meaning meter here is in denominator. So that is why in this case, you will multiply this 2 meter in our numerator. Okay, so meter times meter will give you meter squared. So 400 divided by 200 is 0.50. Take the square root of it. So therefore, that is 0.71. When you get the square root, the squared here will be removed. So therefore, our displacement is 0.71 meter. Okay? Next, let's have now the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is the opposite of potential energy. So if potential energy is a stored energy, kinetic energy is energy in motion. Okay, energy in motion. So our formula for kinetic energy will be 1/2 of the product of the mass and the squared of the velocity. So again, please take note of the units that we're going to use. Mass is in kilogram. If it is not in kilogram, you have to convert. Velocity should be in meter per second, and the kinetic energy should be in joule. So again ha, in order for you to use the unit joule, your mass should be in kilogram, the velocity should be in meter per second. Okay, let's have an example here. So what is the kinetic energy of a 150 kilogram object that is moving with a velocity of 15 meter per second? So again, we will be using the traditional method of solving worded problems. So we will write the given. So 150 kilogram is mass, 15 meter per second is velocity. And you were asked to compute for the amount of kinetic energy. So we will be using the equation that we have here, this one. Ayan. Itong equation na to, class, it can be written also in this manner. mb squared over 2 is just the same. Okay, then substitute the values. Our mass is 150. Our velocity is 15 meter per second squared. Do not forget to have it squared since our formula is the velocity is squared. Okay? So 150 times 15 will give us 33,750 kilogram. Ito yung galing dito yan. Then the meter per second will become meter squared per second squared. Then divided by 2. 33,750 divided by 2 will give us 16,875. So kilogram, paghiwalayin lang natin yung meter dito, gawin natin kilogram meter per second squared meter. Then if you're going to look at it, kilogram meter per second squared is also equal in Newton. So therefore, the final answer will be 16,875 Newton meter. Newton meter is also equal to joule. So kinetic energy now is equal to 16,875 joules. Okay? Let's talk about heat. Okay, so when we say heat, in chemistry, it is a process, it is not a quantity. But if we are talking of heat energy, since that is already pertaining to the energy formed, okay, out of transformation of energy, we can compute heat energy. But the term heat, okay, actually it is a process. It's not a quantity. Because when we say heat, okay, it's pertain to the flow of energy between two objects or more. But the direction of the flow is always from warmer or hotter object going to cooler or cold object. So meaning, class, pag nagta-transfer or nangyayari yung heat as a process, okay, in terms of flow energy, the flow of energy is always from hotter object going to colder object. Okay, that is why kapag halimbawa you will open the refrigerator, the door of the refrigerator, you will see yung usok, they move going outside. Palabas sila. 'Di ba? Bakit sila palabas? Kasi we have the warm air from outside, it will enter the refrigerator. And it will push the cold air going out from the refrigerator. Okay? Kaya ang tingin natin, yung lamig yung lumalabas. But actually, it's not. Tinutulak sila ng mainit na hangin galing sa labas. Okay? Pumapasok yung mainit na hangin sa loob ng refrigerator. Then, tinutulak niya yung malamig na hangin palabas. Kaya nakikita natin yung usok coming from the refrigerator na palabas. Okay? So again ha, the flow of energy is always from hot to cold object. Okay? Now, the next question is, how are we going to know if the object is hot or cold? You should get the temperature. Because just like we mentioned last meeting, temperature is the measurement of how cold or how hot an object is. The higher the temperature, we considered it as hot object. The lower the temperature, we considered it as cold object. So the movement or the flow of heat energy is always from hot to cold object. Okay? Then, done na tayo dyan. Let's have now the work done on the system. Okay? So work done is the amount of energy transferred. So when there's already work done on the object, it means that there's already transferring of energy. So meaning if there's no work done on an object, there is no transferring of energy. So in science, we can compute work as the product of force and displacement. So the W here stands for work done on the object. So again, that is expressed in joule since work and energy is directly proportional to each other. Then the F here will be the force. It should be in Newton. And the D here is the distance, which is, it should be in meter. So when are we going to consider if there's work done on the object? First, we have three conditions na kailangan ma-satisfy. Okay? Needed to be satisfied. Una, there should be an application of force. Okay? Secondly, the force applied should cause displacement on the object. The force applied should cause motion on the object. And third condition, the direction of the force and the movement of the object should be parallel or should be the same. So that is why if you're going to push the wall, there's no work done on the wall. Why? Because you were not able to allow the wall to move even though you apply a certain amount of force. So therefore, in order for us to determine if there's work done on the object, the force applied on the object should cause displacement on the object. And the movement or the displacement should be parallel to the direction of the force applied. So let's have an example here. A force of 30 Newton was applied on the handle of the bag while pulling it along the floor. Hinihila yung baga, hinihila. So meaning, hindi umaangat from the floor. Okay, nagmo-move, the bag is somehow moving parallel to the floor. Okay, along the floor and make an angle of 30 degrees. What was the work done on the bag by the man in pulling it at 20-meter distance? So let's say I will be using um, uh, free diagram. So let's say this is the bag and this one is the handle. Okay? So here in the handle, let's say I am the man. I am the one pulling the bag. Let's say I will apply 30 Newton of force on this handle. So because of the 30 Newton of force that I applied on the handle make an angle of 30 degrees with respect to the horizontal. So that is why if you're going to look at it, we can draw here a right triangle. We can visualize here a right triangle. So in this case, since we have already the right triangle, we can use the idea of trigonometric functions. Okay? So since this is the line parallel to the x-axis and this line is parallel to the y-axis, So as you can see, we will be needing the f of x but not the f of y. Why is it we will be needing the f of x but not the f of y? Because as you can see, um, according to the problem, the bag was pulled along the floor. So when we say along the floor, that is parallel to the x-axis. Ito yon. Okay? So that is why we will be using f of x. We will be no longer needed f of y. So in our equation for work done, ito yon. Instead of using f, we will be using f of x. Ito yon. Okay? Now, since we don't have the actual value for the f of x, we only have f, which is equal to 30 Newton. Again, just like what I've told you a while ago, we will be applying the trigonometric functions. Okay? So, if this is the angle, this is the position of the f of x, and this is the position of f. So, as you can see, f will serve as the hypotenuse of our right triangle, and f of x will be uh, the adjacent side of our right triangle with respect to the position of our angle. Kasi nandito yung angle natin, that's why lalabas ito ang adjacent side kasi ito yung katabi niya. Then this is now the opposite side. We will not be needed the opposite side. We will be using the adjacent side, which is the f of x. So you have a, you have h. Therefore, in trigonometric functions, you will be using function cosine. Okay? That is ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. So, itong f of x natin, gagawin nating 30 Newton multiplied with cosine, since we'll be using cosine function here, 30 Newton multiplied with cosine of 30 degrees times 20 meter. Okay? So, 30 times cosine 30 times 20 will give us 519.62 Newton meter. This is the meter, the unit of force here. And we have the meter here, the unit of displacement or the distance traveled by the bag. So Newton meter will give us joule. Okay? Next, let's talk about the law of conservation of energy. Actually, the first law of thermodynamics has something to do with the law of conservation of energy. So, the law of conservation of energy simply stated that we cannot created nor destroyed energy. The only thing that we can do is that we can change or transfer its form from one to another. Okay? So, hindi tayo gumagawa ng energy, hindi din natin sila pwedeng sirain. The only thing that we can do is baguhin yung kanilang anyo. So we have here the example of energy transportation and conservation of energy. So here, as you can see, okay, the conservation of energy is always present in energy transformation or energy transportation. So let's say I have here the chemical energy, which is the energy stored in a battery. Let's say I have here 100% chemical energy in the battery. So I will use it in a flashlight. So what will happen to the chemical energy possessed or stored in the battery? It will change its form. In what form? From chemical to electrical energy. So how do you know if there's already transformation of chemical energy to electrical energy? There will be production of light, okay, and also the production of heat. Because if we have the presence of light energy, there is always a presence of heat energy. So where is conservation of energy there? If I will be using 100% chemical energy coming from the battery, the 100% should be transformed into another 100% amount of electrical energy and another 100% amount of light and heat energy. So there is energy transformation as well as there is conservation of energy. Okay, so walang natapon. Lahat na convert into another form of energy. Okay, so let's have now the application of the law of conservation of energy. Okay? So the best example that we can give for the law of conservation of energy is the theory of relativity that was explained by Albert Einstein. Okay? So the theory of relativity simply stated that E is equal to mc squared. So the E here is the energy, the m here is the mass, and the c here is the speed of light. As you can see, class, the mass is directly proportional to the amount of energy. So what does it mean? The higher the mass, the higher it possess amount of energy. The higher it can give off amount of energy. Okay, so meaning heavier object possess higher energy, lighter object possess lower energy. Okay, then the speed of light here also has something to do uh, with the amount of energy. So meaning, let's say, diba, we get the energy we needed here in Earth, in the sun. So meaning, sun is our main source of energy. Okay? So sun is a big object, a heavy object, diba? It's full of helium gases. So mabigat siya, malaki, mabigat. So dahil big object siya, it possess higher amount of mass, 'di ba? Greater ang mass kasi malaki siya, mabigat. So greater ang mass. So what does it mean? It can also give off higher amount of energy. Meaning mataas din yung amount ng energy na kaya niyang ibigay. Ngayon, anong kinalaman ng speed of light doon? We receive the energy coming from the sun through the speed of light. Ganun kabilis natin nakukuha yung energy na galing sa araw. In fact, mga anak, pagharap ng planeta natin, halimbawa dito sa Pilipinas, pagharap natin sa umaga, pag sumikat na yung araw, pagharap natin sa araw, we will receive that particular energy in only 8 minutes. Okay, so ibig sabihin, after 8 minutes, mararamdaman na agad natin yung init ng araw. So, pag naramdaman na natin yung init ng araw, it means we are already receiving the energy coming from the sun. So that is why if time will come that the sun will decrease its mass. Okay, since sun is just a typical star, okay? Meaning the energy that it can give off will also decrease. Hihina din yung energy. So if time will come that sun will die, because since it's just a typical star, magiging black hole siya. Pag black hole na siya, zero mass na. So what will happen to the energy? We will also have zero energy. So what will happen to us? Eventually, we will die. Okay? So that's how important the energy coming from the sun in our lives. Ganun siya kahalaga. Hindi tayo mabubuhay ng walang araw. We could not live without the energy coming from the sun. Okay? Next, let's talk about the wasted energy. Okay? Actually, in transformation of energy, let's go back to my slide there. Ayan. In in transformation of energy, we in reality we really could not transform it into into useful form of energy by 100%. Okay? There are times that a certain amount of energy will be converted to waste. So, yun yung tinatawag natin wasted energy. So, ano ibig sabihin nun, ma'am? Let's say, let's go back here ha, in this picture. So, we have here the stored energy, chemical energy inside the battery. Okay, the chemical energy will be transformed into electrical energy when we use the flashlight, and the electrical energy that was converted will be that was transformed from chemical energy will be converted to light and heat. Okay? Yung heat mismo, the heat energy itself is a waste energy. Okay? So, that is the reason why every time na nanonood kayo, let's say ha, gumagamit kayo ng electric fan, let's say ganon. If you're going to notice, umiinit yung electric fan. 'Di ba? Umiinit lalo na kung medyo matagal mo nang ginamit. Okay, umiinit siya. So, why is it getting hotter? Because some of the energy that was already converted as waste energy in the form of heat. So that is why heat energy is a waste energy. So, what are you going to do in order for you to lessen the production of waste energy? Okay, do not use appliances or gadget for a long time. Okay, they are just like us. They are required to rest. Okay, so that we can lessen the production of waste energy. Palamigin nyo muna. 'Di ba? Nakakapanyo naman pag mainit na yung electric pan eh. Nakakapanyo naman kung mainit na yung TV. Nakakapanyo naman kung mainit na yung cellphone nyo. 'Di ba? So, ibig sabihin, pag mainit na, okay, hindi na 100% nagtatransform into useful form of energy. Some of them were transformed as waste energy. Okay? Then let's talk about electrochemical energy. So electrochemical energy is what we normally call the conservation of chemical energy into electrical energy or vice versa. So when we say electrochemical energy, it has something to do with energy transformation. Pero dito, dalawa lang. Okay? It was clearly or specifically stated as conversion of energy from chemical to electrical or vice versa from electrical to chemical. So perfect example of this is the chemical energy stored in a battery. Okay, then it will be transformed into electrical energy. Let's say our cell phone. Let's say ha. So we have the battery of our cell phone. It possesses chemical energy, and then we will use it in order for us to use our cell phone. So it will be converted to electrical energy. Then if you're going to charge your cell phone, the process will be vice versa. So the electrical energy will be converted to chemical energy. Again, it will be stored in the battery of your cell phone. Okay? Now, we have the primary and the secondary batteries since we're talking of electrochemical energy. Okay, dito class, meron tayong tinatawag na primary batteries and we have the secondary batteries. The primary batteries are those batteries which are disposable. Example of that is this one. Okay? So, disposable because their electrochemical reaction cannot be reversed. Hindi kasi bumabalik yung kanilang electrochemical reaction. One-way reaction lang siya. Unlike the secondary batteries, yan yung mga rechargeable. Example, the one that we are using in our cell phone. What else? Basta mga anak yung mga rechargeable batteries natin, they are called secondary batteries. Why they are secondary? Because their electrochemical reaction can be reversed by applying a certain voltage to the battery in the opposite direction of the discharge. So, ibig sabihin, halimbawa nito mga anak, saksak mo yung cellphone. Pag sinaksak mo sa main sa power supply, pag sinaksak mo sa power supply, the power supply will provide the voltage, okay, to the battery. Pero yung voltahe na ibibigay niya, okay, it will move in opposite direction of the discharge. So since it move in opposite the direction, it will not be discharged when you are charging your cell phone. Okay? So again ha, primary batteries are disposable while the secondary batteries are rechargeable. So perfect example of secondary batteries are the batteries of our cell phones. Perfect example of primary batteries are the batteries that we are using in wall clock, in remote control, okay? Yung tinatawag natin ng mga double A, triple A, they are example of primary batteries. Even though, uso naman na ngayon yung mga double A, triple A na rechargeable. Okay, basta rechargeable, secondary na yon. Basta di-dispose mo dahil hindi nga siya nare-recharge, that is primary batteries. Okay? So that's the idea of Unit 1, which is about energy. So I posted already some announcement in our Google Classroom. So I will see you on August 27 for our on August 30 for our face-to-face session. August 27 will be synchronous session. Thank you so much and good afternoon.